Hey everybody, welcome back to the 80s Slashers YouTube channel. In this video, I will be ranking my top 5 favorite slashers from the year 1987. Now, if you haven't already done so, you might want to go back and watch my previous video, 1987, the year in slashers. Before checking out this video, just to get kind of an overview of what the year, 1987 was all about for the slasher film. Now, if just before we go any further in this video, maybe just as a little recap, I'll just go through the 21 films that I've identified in that video as 1987 slashers. So we had Blood Harvest, Twisted Nightmare, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, The Majorettes, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 2, Killer Workout, Blood Rage, Blood Lake, Terror Night, The Stepfather, Berserker, American Gothic, StageFright, Slaughterhouse, Night Screams, Open House, Blood Frenzy, Moon and Scorpio, Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, Slumber Party Massacre 2, and The Outing. So, in my 1987, The Year in Slashers video, I discussed how 1987 was a fairly strong year for the slasher film, at least in terms of quantity. 21 films is a number that matches the highs of the decade. Back to the years 1981, 1982, kind of the pinnacle. For the subgenre. Now, in terms of quality, for these films, that of course is highly subjective. But for me personally, I feel that 1987 was a really strong year in that category as well. There's just a bunch of films this year that I really enjoy. Now, however, there is no doubt that you know at this time the genre is definitely changing. The stereotypical 80s slasher formula developed and perfected in films like Friday the 13th, My Bloody Valentine, The Burning, those types of things. That formula at this point in the decade was slowly starting to fade away, being replaced by, kind of a newer formula that was, starting to focus on, supernatural elements and, cost cutting measures, such as like, shot on videotape and, being released straight to video. Um, and these kind of things, and the popularity of these, kind of led to more of these films being made, because they were, the filmmakers were seeing profits. And some may argue that maybe this was done at the detriment to the quality of the majority of these films. And that again, it's a subjective thing, but that may or may not be true depending on your view. So yeah, 1987, like I said, was for me it was a strong, solid year for the slasher film, but one that was, it was just a little bit different from years past, but one that also, kind of set the stage for, what was to continue for the rest of the decade. So, all right, with all that, just being said is just a brief little overview of the year, let's just go ahead and get right into my top five slashers of 1987. So, yeah, let's kick this off and take a look at number five. All right, so coming at number five, we have Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. Now, this is a film I don't actually own a physical copy of. So yeah, there's not much to show here. But I really enjoy this film. Now I'm not the biggest fan of the supernatural slashers, but for some reason I I really enjoyed that element in Prom Night 2. Um, if not, if you're not familiar with this film, it kind of works as kind of like Carrie. The setup is kind of like the Stephen King Carrie film. If at the beginning of the film, the lead character was killed, burned to death, in like an elaborate prank gone wrong. But she was, instead of just getting blood dumped on her head, she was burned to death on stage and killed. And then, throughout the movie, she came back from the dead to get her revenge. And, the plot goes from there, and she starts, the people who are responsible for it, she picks off one by one. And so that's kind of the way it's structured at the beginning. Now, the supernatural elements and the slasher elements are blended together really well to create what I think maybe my favorite supernatural slasher of all time. Like I don't know, um I just really like how they did it. Just it's really good. Now there's like a lot going on in this film. The like I said, the setup, like the backstory is fantastic. The school setting that is set around, both in the past, like the flashback scenes, and the present, they're really good. They're really fun. Um, there's some really fun, creative kills. Um, that are there's some really fun like practical effect things going on, which are I really enjoyed. There's some pretty good like in extended like nude scenes that take place, and some of them are kind of incorporated into one of the kills. There's like a locker room scene and like gym lockers and whatnot, and yeah, it's great. It's a really good scene. There's some fun characters. The ending is pretty fun. Yeah, this film just has kind of everything I look for in a slasher, but it just happens to have some really strong supernatural elements that just I don't know, they work really well for me here. So yeah, just as a whole, this is just a really fun film from start to finish, and I highly recommend it. I really enjoy Prom Night too. So that's at number five. So all right, let's go on and take a look at number four. All right, so coming in at number four, we have Killer Workout, or AKA Aerobicide, which is I don't know which title I like better. I think I like Killer Workout, but Aerobicide is pretty cool as well. All right, the best way to describe this film is probably cheesy, and that's a good thing. I promise. That's a really good thing. Again, like Prom Night 2, Killer Workout is just a lot of fun. It's a film that really is a product of its time. Like this is like a 1987 film, and it feels like a 1987 film. Um, yeah, I don't know, it just really has that cheesy 80s feel. And it's on full display. Like you got like all the women have like like the big hair, a lot of like the neon pinks, neon pink, neon green colors, just that funny 80s dialogue. You know, you think like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, like the way they talk in the 80s. It has some of that. This movie's just like a time capsule from that time, and it's just it's so fun. It's really enjoyed just for that. Now, being set obviously around like an 80s, like a fitness center, like you know, it's capturing like the you know the 80s fitness craze that was going on at the time with the exercise studio and the gym. Um, you know, you got like all like the spandex dressed girls, you know, the muscle bound guys wearing like the you know the muscle shirts. It's just it's so fun. It's perfect. It's over the top, but it's really charming and it's so much fun. But you know, beyond all of the you know all of the 80s cheese factor that this film has, it still has all of the elements of a really great slasher. You know, obviously the you know the gym setting that this is in is fantastic. You know, it's utilized really well. You know, you get like scenes in like the showers and like the sauna, like the aerobic studio with like the mirrored walls and like the beams, the girls with their socked ankles, and um, it's just yeah, it's fantastic. Just it's a great setting for a slasher film. You know, obviously there's you know there's a good amount of nudity in this film. So if you're looking for that, that's present in this film for sure. There's some really fun kills, and it's hilarious. Like the killer likes to use like a giant safety pin as a weapon, which is ridiculous and silly. But again, it just matches the whole thing with this film. It's just so fun. I don't know. I just really this film is so fun. And then the twist reveal at the end is I thought it was really well done. You know, it's kind of surprising, a little bit creepy. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see it coming. Maybe I should have, but for whatever reason, the ending to this film, first time I watched it, it got me. I'm like, okay, and it made sense. It's fun. It's kind of again, it's cheesy. It just kind of fits the whole thing. But yeah, Killer Workout. Overall, this is just like I said, a really fun, cheesy, charming, over the top slasher, and it's know what you're getting when you go in for this. It's not like there's nothing serious. It's not like you know some of the earlier 80s slashers are little serious, little gritty, little dark. This is none of that. This is just pure 80s fun, but it's a blast and it's really well done. It makes for a good slasher. Yeah, so yeah, number four, Killer Workout. All right, let's move on to number three. All right, so coming to number three, we have Blood Rage. Now this is the first entry on this list that kind of feels like a slasher from the early 80s. That's, obviously it's due. If you don't know, this film was actually filmed in 1983, but for whatever reason, it didn't get a release until 1987. So yeah, so due to that, it definitely feels different from all the other films from 1987. Yeah, yeah, it doesn't, like I said, unlike Killer Workout and Prom Night 2, actually, it doesn't have that 80s cheesy feel. It's more of a dark, serious tone. Even though there is some humor, there's a lot of humor in this film. But yeah. Anyway, it feels more in line with the early 80s. But regardless of all that, um, Blood Rage is a lot of fun. The whole setup to the film, it deals with two twin boys. They're like, I don't know how old they are when at the beginning of the film. They're probably like um I don't know, 12 maybe, 10, 12, something like that. They're two twins and they go to a movie theater, a drive-in theater, and for whatever reason, one of the twins like attacks people and starts killing people. And when, the authorities and the parents and everything show up, he takes the weapon he used and gives it and throws it to his twin brother. So everyone's like, "Oh, he did it. He's the crazy one." So the good twin gets taken away to the mental institution, and the crazy one gets to stay living at home. So, and then it plays out from there, and the good one gets released from from the asylum and comes back to live with his brother, and he's of course all messed up because he was living at the asylum for his whole childhood, and anyway, and it goes on from there, and then people start getting killed, and it's just the yeah, like that whole thing with the twins and the family dynamics. It's so much fun, and it kind of adds like a drama like to the story. Especially once we reach the climax of the film, the family dynamics really it really comes into play. And the actor who plays both parts of it's just one guy playing the twins. He's not a fantastic actor by any means, but he does a good enough job that you can tell the difference between like which twin is on screen, and it's he yeah, I thought he did really good. They have a mother. There's nothing on here. Just a ton of special features. The mother in this film is crazy, creepy as all hell, highly dramatic. Plays into it's really fun. There's a whole lot going on with the story in this film, which is I don't know. I liked it. It's like kind of like again like a family drama dynamic playing out amongst all these slasher killings going on. So it's different. It's unique, but it's really cool. But yeah, like I said, like it's not. I wouldn't say it's. I wouldn't say that the acting was good, but it was. I guess it's just the type of characters. It just made the whole thing kind of interesting. But anyway, besides all the plot stuff, the best part of this film is the gore and the kills. There's some really great kills in this film. A lot of blood, some really good practical effects that really elevate this film for me. I just yeah, like the it's great. There's really good kills, very creative, unique. Again, and they're kind of mixed with some humor. Like there's some oddball, wacky humor thrown into it. It's a good mix. It's different. It's kind of a unique film in that way. Um, but of course, all the other elements are there as well. Like this, like the setting. I wouldn't say is anything special or unique, but it's I don't know. There's kind of an eerie feel to like the whole setting. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but I kind of like the way that the film is where it's set and the way it's shot. It's just kind of cool. I don't know. Of course, it has the gratuitous nudity that these films are there, and like I said, the plot it's just it's a good plot, and at the end there it gets creepy, and it just kind of plays out and it kind of ratchets up to the like a climax at the end, and it's I think it's done really well. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I really like this film. Yeah, there's just lots to like. So yeah, so coming in at number three, we have Blood Rage. Good film, fun film. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. All right, let's move on to number two. All right, so coming at number two, we have Stage Fright. Now, I'll be honest, I kind of wanted to make this my number one film of the year. Um, just because it might be my favorite film to revisit. I don't know. But for other reasons, we'll talk about later. I decided not to, so I put this at number two. But I love this film. I love Stage Fright. It's fantastic. This is an Italian film, kind of equal parts slasher, equal parts giallo. Even though I'd say it's probably closer. It's a little more slasher than giallo. I know there's a lot of Italian films that I don't include in any of my lists or stuff. I just feel like they're a little more giallo, but for whatever reason, this one I view it just has a lot of slasher elements going on it, so that's why I include it here. But of all the '80s slashers, this, like of all of them, this might be the most stylistic film. The look of this film is so unique, and there's just so many moments throughout that I almost get lost in like in the cinematography, and forget you're watching a slasher film. There's just so many of the camera angles and the lighting choices and just the wardrobe, some of the clothing that they're wearing, and like the I don't it's really, again, it's really hard to explain. Um, like even just like the eye makeup and just like the facial expression, it's very, everything about this film just is very stylistic. It seems like the choices were very deliberate, and it's just it's a joy to watch. And like I said, there's some moments like there's like feathers. There's a feather scene. It's really a lot of tension. Um, I don't want to get into any too many details, but there's just, yeah, there's a scene where there's a bunch of feathers kind of floating around like the stage and everything, and it's fantastic. It's so good. Um, yeah, now of course, being set in, like a theater, or like a stage, like a Broadway type play stage setting. That's what this is. Like bunch of people are rehearsing a play, and then they get locked in the theater, and a killer's on the loose, tracking them down one by one, killing them. But having that type of setting, for a slasher is just, it's awesome. It's fantastic, and it's pretty original. Like there's been no other 80s slashers quite like this. Um, yeah, it's just, oh man, it's so good. The kills are fantastic. Some really, really good kills. Some good practical effects. Um, the killer in this film is, again, very stylistic, very bizarre. It's like, yeah, there's nothing on the back. It's like an owl said. There it is. The killer wears it, and this is huge. This is like a huge owl's head, um, walking around stalking people. Fantastic. Yeah, weird, weird killer mask, but it's great. But like I said, just like everything else, the killer, the kills, the location, the wardrobe, everything is just really stylistic. Um, yeah, it's just, I don't know. Again, it's hard to explain if you haven't seen it, but it's one you definitely have to, yeah, you have to see it to really gain an appreciation for the film. So Italian slasher giallo hybrid film with, an incredible setting, unique killer, very stylistic kills, a little bit of nudity. It just makes for one of the, the most unique films in the whole in the whole subgenre, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, coming in at number two, we have Stage Fright. All right, let's move on to number one. All right, so coming in at number one, of course, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. Now, if you're at all familiar with this channel, you probably know I'm not the biggest fan of this whole franchise. It's just, I don't know. I'm just not. There's a whole lot of reasons. I've gone over some of them before, but we're not going to get into that here. But regardless of that, this film is probably my favorite in the entire series. Um, yeah, it's obviously it's between part three and part one for me. Everything else is I'm really lukewarm on. There's some okay films, um, but yeah, this is a franchise. It's known for having this the scary villain in Freddy Krueger. But it's also known for, those funny one-liners. Um, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 is the film I think where the balance between these two things was perfected. Um, there's a whole lot to like about this film. Now, like I said, Freddy is, in this film, Freddy is, he's scary, but he's also funny. It's, yeah, this is like the highlight of Freddy Krueger for me. They just, I don't know, the blend of horror and humor, he really gets it at this point. Everything after this gets a little too corny, hammy for me. Everything before this was good, but this is the pinnacle for sure. Um, Other things with this film, the cast is great. This is really good. Obviously, Robert Englund, like I said, is great as Freddy Krueger. Bringing back Heather Langenkamp, as Nancy is good. It just felt right. Especially after part two, it was good to have her back. Patricia Arquette, is really good in this. I thought as well. Um, of course, you have John Saxon. Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, there's a lot of this. This feels like a really, and it is. It's a really well made, um, you know, big budget slasher film, and it feels like that. And that's what it comes off as. That's how it was made, and that's what it is. So it's hard to not put this above, everything else, just because it has that pedigree. Now the atmosphere in Dream Warriors is really good, both like the real world stuff and the dream world stuff. It's never looked as good as it did in this film. Um, Especially like the dream world in is just really creepy, really spooky. Just like the way that it's filmed, just the lighting, and I don't know. It's a special. The look of this film is really special. I know a lot of the nightmare films, they kind of have a similar. Well, this up until like part four, I'm gonna say, part five and beyond kind of have a whole different thing going on. Um, but again, like one through four, kind of have a similar atmosphere, but again, it's the best in this film. It's really spooky, really creepy. They just did a really good job. The kills in this film are really fun, really creative, and there's some of them are like iconic. The highlights for me, like the kid with his who gets his tendons ripped out, and is walked off, walked off the building. That whole scene is just fantastic. Like the effects, just the look, the tone. It's fantastic. And then of course, the girl who gets her head, slammed through the television set. And his funny one line that he does as he does it. It's iconic. That's probably the most iconic one liner and kill in the whole franchise, and for good reason. It's fantastic. It just the look of that, the way it was filmed. Um, I remember back in the day when I was watching this, like as a little kid, it was so scary. And again, that's the appeal with this whole franchise was the concept of a killer getting you in your dreams, and you'd watch these movies and you get home and you have to go to sleep, and they stay with you, and it's word of mouth spread. It's just, man, this was just a phenomenon back in the 80s. And for good reason. It was a new, fresh, fun concept. And at this point in the franchise, like I said, they were still scary. They were good. There was enough humor to make you laugh and have a good time. But it was scary and it was creepy and spooky. Yeah, it was really good, really good. And of course, the other kill. Sorry, I forgot to mention the other kill. Highlight for me. The girl with all the injections, the lethal overdose. Again, really good. So yeah, a lot of good kills, a lot of good look to this film. This is just a really important film within the slasher genre. And because of that, because of its importance, it's one of the reasons why I have it at number one. Even though, like I said, I may enjoy watching like a film like Stage Fright just a little more. Um, my respect for the genre and what this film means, it makes me have to put it at number one. And in all honesty, it's the best made film. I don't know, it deserves the number one spot, even though if I probably won't watch it as many times as like a Stage Fright, like I said. It's just yeah, I know, it's great. I do, I love it. It's the one film in this franchise that I absolutely love. I can go back to and watch it over and over again because it's just it's that good. Yeah, so that's it. That's my top five slashers from 1987. So yeah, like I said before, if you haven't already, you may want to go back and check out my previous video, 1987, the year in slashers. I'll link it below, and I'll put a link on the screen here. And yeah, until next time, I guess. All right, see ya.